Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's your Uncle Oski here. How you doing today? Let's go for another walk. You know, as you can tell from the recordings of these videos, and probably from a lot of the thumbnails too, right? So, like, all this stuff is stuff that I record slash take pictures of on my own. Um, I don't, I'm not big into like photography, really. Like, I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing, right? But like, if something captures me, I tend to like, want to record it or take a picture. It just is what it is. And most of the time, a lot of the time, uh, for me, that's nature. And despite the despite the title, despite all that I'm gonna say, like I'm not some fucking hippie who's gonna sit here like, dude, you need to be in nature because it'll refill your chakra, whatever the fuck, right? I'm not gonna word it like that, but I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it pretty much does do that, right? Like, you know, nature's a lot of things, and I think the thing for me is that it's very healing for me. Like despite how, sometimes matter of factly and sometimes when I go into these ramblings on these videos, like I'm very confident in what I'm saying. Like I'm generally not like that. Like I'm very introverted. I don't really like to be in big cities anymore. I'm not usually in a giant group of people. Like I have a small group of friends, that I'm really really close to, you know. So nature, the thing I love the most about it is that it when you're in nature, it generally allows you to be by yourself or even more than that, just generally away from large groups of people. It lets you get away from the noise of every day, like I've said countless times in the videos that I make. You know, our lives go a mile a minute, especially in the modern world, where we're always on our phones, always watching the news, yada yada, always chasing what's happening, what's new. Um, when you're in nature, it gives you that chance to just slow down and be at peace. Just get away from all the chirping and all the fucking noise uh, that just reverberate through our heads all day, every day, week upon week, month after month, year upon year. It just really is that really is the way the modern world is kind of built, and going out into nature, it really does just let you unwind, unplug. And we need that. I need that. I desperately need that. That's why I'm you know part of it is kind of work ish. If I'm counting, this channel is not really work for me. I count it more as just like, just something I do. But when I go out into these nature trails, like I really love recording it as like either one memories or two. Just I don't know. It just brings me peace to rewatch them and just kind of capture that. And I generally what I'll say to someone too, right, is when you're going out into nature, don't have your headphones on. One, because I mean, depending on where you are, that's a very fucking bad idea. If you got cougars and bears and moose around, like you need to be aware of your surroundings, right? Even on some of these smaller trails, like we got bobcats around here where I am, so you got to be careful. You never know what the fuck's out there, right? But generally, what I mean in the sense of like healing when it comes to nature, I say don't have your headphones on because you can just, like I said earlier, man, like we are just constantly bombarded with sound, with visuals, with a bunch of bullshit, basically, right? When you're out in nature, man, like, and you don't have your headphones on, just enjoy the sounds of nature, the relaxing sounds of nature, and honestly, sometimes the lack of sound. Like I've been in nature sometimes where like I can't hear shit, but the wind. Like I just hear the wind, or if there's a nearby creek or river, like those sounds those sounds can bring you back back down so well. Like I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so fucking peaceful, man. Trust me, like you need that sometimes. Especially if you live in a city, man, like all that fucking noise. And I know some people like that, right? But sometimes it's overwhelming and sometimes you need a change of pace. And trust me, the sound and like I said, lack of sound sometimes in nature, like that shit'll bring you back to Zen, my guy. Like you'll be big chilling on that. Um, and that feeling of being away from people, unplugged, the lack of sound, like you don't have all these things bouncing off in your head. It lets you also kind of peer into your mind a little more. Like I've definitely had some of the best reflections with myself, not having any sound and just having the quiet peacefulness of nature. Like I've had some of the most reflective, the most personal conversations with myself in nature in these settings, because it gets rid of all the background shit and it just leaves you with you, your steps, and the nature that's just around you. And it's awesome, dude. Trust me. Definitely something I would recommend. Also, another thing that I really love about nature is just the variety of it. Like, I like where I live. I really, really do. Like, we have nice beaches. It's definitely, middle America, suburbia. Like, we do have some foreign land. We have parks, yada yada. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not someone who hates where I live, but you do get used to it, and from time to time, like we need we need fucking variety, and nature provides that for us, and it's just so beautiful. Like we as someone who tends to be low key most of the time, I don't really travel too much, except to honestly go to different state parks and national forests and stuff like that. I will admit, but we need to change the scenery from time to time, and trust me, it doesn't get much better than going out into different parts of nature, different parks, different state forests. Like some of the things you'll see, like some of the fucking things you'll see, like nature is beautiful. It's dangerous, but it's definitely beautiful. I mean, explore with caution. I'll always say this to people, right? Like, explore with caution. Make sure you know what poisonous insects are around. Watch out for pitfalls. Be super aware. Be prepared for emergency situations. Depending on the wildlife around you, have bear spray. Like, know what to do if you run into a fucking grizzly bear. Like, don't just go off vibes when it comes to that, right? But it really is like, I made my way. Every year now, I go up to the White Mountains up in New Hampshire. It's gorgeous. It's hard to explain, really, the feeling of seeing something just absolutely visually striking and the impression that leaves on you. Like there are certain peaks and just valleys and just sites that I've seen just exploring that one mountain range that have just left such a crazy impression on me. And it's hard to describe really what it feels like to just be in awe of nature, and it's so different from the normal sights and sounds that I see every day. And like we need these experiences, these different experiences that just, kind of give us good memories and just kind of give us the strength to move forward, and deal with all the bullshit that we're dealing with. Stuff like this makes life worth living for. And for me, and I know that sounds overly dramatic, but for me, like the idea of when I go to a nature trail or a mountain range, like just knowing that I'm going to see something that, one, I've never seen before, and two, will leave an impression on me for days and years to come. Like, that's exciting, and it's beautiful, and you know what? And that brings this up too, right? It is unreal how good nature is for exercising. I know some people don't really care about that, but look, when it comes to nature, like, you're not driving through this shit most of the time, so most of the time you're going to be walking, and what's so fun about doing stuff in nature too, right, is it's the fact that you can go out into nature and get a workout done but also have so much fun doing it is crazy. And there's a variety of ways you can do it, right? Like, I'm someone who really I hate when it's too brutal outside in the winter and I have to resort to doing my exercise on like a fucking treadmill or an elliptical. I hate that shit. I can't stand that shit. Like, don't get me wrong, I'll always be in the gym lifting weights. That's cool, right? But when it comes to like cardio or just, doing any movement based exercise, I hate standing still. I hate doing the Stairmaster. I hate all that shit, right? I would much rather get that exercise from just walking a trail or climbing a mountain, and it's not just that. There's so many things you can do. Dude, you want to go skiing? Hell yeah, dude. Go skiing. You know, you want to do rowing? God, dude. Let me rafting, swimming, like just all this stuff that you can do, and all this stuff you can have fun doing. You know, I think a lot of the deterrent people have when it comes to exercising is the fact that they think it's all pain and no fun. Like, don't get me wrong, there are days and there are times where you're just like, fuck, I really don't want to do this. It's more function over fun. Like you have to do this to accomplish the goal. But if you're doing these activities out in nature, like most of the time you're gonna have fun fucking doing it. Like, oh, I want to row out into the middle of this lake so I can catch this really striking view of, like, I don't know, Baxter State or the mountain range or whatever fucking thing you're looking at. And like rowing's hard. It's difficult. It's taxing on your body. It's exercise. Shit, you can go out fishing. Like if you're doing whitewater rafting, good luck. I mean, your body's gonna hate you, but that shit's fun as hell. Swimming, bro. The amount of calories you're burning on that swimming and you're having fun while you're doing it, that's awesome, dude. Even just doing hiking and going up really steep inclines and stuff like that, like it's difficult, right? But it's challenging in such a different way than just, I don't know, walking on the Stairmaster for half an hour. You know what I mean? Like you can at least use nature to your benefit while also enjoying being in it. I'm not really articulating this well, like at all probably, but I think you can pick up what I'm putting down here. This is the part here where people will probably think I have veered into total, nature hippie nonsense here, but hear me out, right? I think one of the most beautiful things about nature too is the different people in the world that it brings together. Like I've been up, New Hampshire is a crazy state. For anyone who doesn't, live around New Hampshire or really like, know the U.S. and stuff like that, like New Hampshire is awesome. It is just total, like, it's freedom or die up there country. You know what I'm saying? And I've met a variety of people up in the mountain ranges and stuff like that, from ultra conservative right wingers. For a fact, I know that sometimes they'll pass by me and they'll give me a little side eye, and I'm like, yes, I am a Latino man. It is what it is, right? Or, even then, like, sometimes you can tell which way someone leans, and it is what it is, right? But like, nature just kind of, it just brings you to this point of zen where it's just like, listen, I know you don't like me. I probably don't like you, but like, we're big chilling here, and it just, I've been up there and I've heard French speakers. I've heard, Portuguese speakers. Like, the way nature just brings people together, it's fucking beautiful. It really is. And we need to protect that because, nature, all these places, like, it's ours, but it's also not, like we want to enjoy nature and all of its, all the things we love about it, whether it's our place to escape, whether it's our place to go get fun exercise, whether it's a place we go to just to be in awe of the beauty of the planet, like, but we share it with other animals, we share it with the trees, we share it with all this stuff, right? And we need to protect these places that can change our lives, like, whether you believe in climate change or not, you need to acknowledge that we're fucking these places up for ourselves. We're starting to mine bigger chunks of these places. We're starting to drill into some of these places, and we're logging. We're overly logging in some places. Like, we are destroying it for ourselves and for everything else, right? And even if you're like, well, I couldn't give a fuck about the animals around. Okay, dude, that's an opinion. I guess, like, that's a take. But even if you're so selfish enough to not give a fuck about all the animals and the trees and all that shit, like, what about just for yourself? Like, you enjoy going out into these places and you're okay with it getting just fucked over. Like, that's fucked up, man. Come on. Like, we need to protect the places that bring us together. You know, whether you're on the extreme left, extreme right, somewhere in the middle, gay, straight, fucking white, black, Latino, it doesn't fucking matter, dude. Like, nature just brings us all together into a place where we can enjoy the beauty of the world. And we just need to protect that. That's all I'm fucking saying. So look, next time you need, next time you're thinking of like, fuck man, I really need to get away. I need to go somewhere new. Head up to the mountains, head up to nature, do what you do. If you're thinking about somewhere where, if you're thinking about starting up exercising, but you don't want to be at a gym, find the closest nature trail to you. Shit, it could be a half hour. Trust me, dude. That half hour will change your fucking life. It really, really will, especially if you enjoy being outside, And be safe when you're out there. Some places have your gun on you. Some places have your bear spray on you. Have your insect spray on you. Just be careful out there. Be careful out there, but enjoy it. It's been given to us over millions and millions of years. Enjoy being outside, and don't fuck it up for everybody else. Don't start littering and shit. Don't do that shit. That's all I got for you guys today. So, if you like the video, like, comment, and subscribe. Until our next hike, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks.